Hello everyone and welcome to AEW Discussion. I'm your host and AEW enthusiast Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Dynamite October 25th, 2023 edition. In this episode of Dynamite, well, when you think about all that happened on the episode, hardly any of it was really going to be all that memorable, so there's not really a whole lot to talk about with this episode, but it did feature MJF once again defended the Dynamite Diamond Ring. This has kind of been a yearly tradition where even though AEW makes it seem like somebody else could win the Diamond Ring, it doesn't really look like anybody other than MJF is going to be holding that thing, and that certainly proved true that MJF once again for another year gets to carry around the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And then you had a pretty solid tag team match to end the show, and with that we're going to get right into the action, starting with the Dynamite Diamond Ring match, MJF versus Juice Robinson. So these guys did a great job, not only showing how much the Diamond Ring means to MJF, but also just how furious MJF was with Juice Robinson. He said he was out for blood, and boy did he get it. MJF also played to the crowd, but was aggressive and dished out a lot of a punishment, and what started as a mostly one-sided match until the Guns provided a distraction, allowing Juice to get back into it. Towards the end, the Stray Bullet tried to use his fake diamond ring, but MJF, utilizing the real one, nailed Robinson while the ref was distracted, and scored the pin to retain his ring once again. Now the Kingdom and Roderick Strong came out to try and help MJF. Well, Strong was directing traffic, but the Kingdom tried to help MJF when he was getting beaten down after the match, but they got driven out of the ring. Yeah, that was certainly something. And then the assault on MJF continued until the Acclaim reigned in and made the save. And I'll be honest, man, MJF is great, but I felt like everything they had going around this guy took up way too much television to start the show. So, trying to unpack it all, let's see. So, MJF beats Juice Robinson, retains the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and then afterwards, he agrees to a world title match with Kenny Omega Saturday on Collision. Then he agrees to a 8-person tag team match, or 8-man tag team match next Wednesday on Dynamite, with him and 3 other partners to be determined against Bullet Club Gold. Although I don't quite get the whole thing. I don't get the whole drama. I don't get MJF and Max Caster. I really don't get it. And also, like, the Kingdom and Roderick Strong too. Like, I get what Roderick Strong's trying to do, but I mean, what are we still doing with the wheelchair angle, with the neck injury thing too? Like, it's hard to take Roderick Strong seriously when he's still playing out this, fake injury thing. And then, and again, MJF's refusal to not tag with the Acclaim. I don't really get it. And when you think about who he teams with next week, I mean, I don't know how it could be any other trio or anybody but the Acclaimed. And then, towards the end of the show, there was one last segment with MJF, with him and Samoa Joe, and Samoa Joe agreed to be his friend, but on the condition that he gets a world title match. So, what does that even mean? There's a lot happening around MJF, and it's great to see that, and while it is great to see so many things happen around the world champion, it would be nice if the focus was just singular on MJF versus Jay White. You can, just keep the focus singular on MJF versus Jay White, and not have all these other distractions kind of taken away from what is the current world title field, especially when the world champion doesn't even have his belt. So a lot happening, but clearly AEW has direction with the world title scene and quite a few contenders in it, so it's not all a bad thing, but it would be nice if there was a little more focus again on the current feud, and not so many distractions. And then also to, like, can we just cut it with the Roderick Strong wheelchair thing? I don't know what the goal is with that. And then also the whole MJF not wanting to take with the Acclaim, we can probably cut that too. And then the main event is a tag team match featuring Blackpool Combat Club taking on Orange Cassidy and Kazuchika Okada, and which was also Okada's in-ring Dynamite debut. Putting this match in the main event spot was a good decision, because not only was Okada's Dynamite debut a big deal, but it ended up being the most technically proficient battle tonight. All four of these guys are great at what they do, but it was how they meshed their respective styles together that allowed them to create an entertaining performance. When Danielson and Okada finally got in the ring together, the crowd lit up. All four men contributed to a great main event that had the crowd on its feet. It is a somewhat surprising outcome. Cassidy only pinned Cassidy after hitting a huge European uppercut. And then he went to check on Danielson after the match because maybe Danielson got shoot injured. I don't know, it's hard to tell, but that could have been very much an apparent injury. And then there's just kind of like this weird little standoff towards the end of the show with some members of the locker room, Orange Cassidy's allies, and then the Blackpool Comet's allies, and looked like there might have been looked like there could have been a fight between Hook and Wheeler Yuta. Really just confusing. If it was a shoot injury, that whole thing was just awkward, but understandable. But if it's not a shoot injury, I mean, what were you trying to accomplish there? I don't really know. But Cassidy only pins Cassidy and gets an All-Atlantic title or international title shot next week. So I guess there's that. And hopefully Danielson isn't shoot injured. That would be a shame if he was put back on the shelf again. So in conclusion, this week's Dynamite's had its ebbs and flows, but the ebbs were definitely more memorable, building up the segment with Sting as something special, only to have it be a Ric Flair cameo, no disrespect to Flair, but when you hype up a big gift and then this is what you deliver, bit deflating, but luckily you have Christian Cage currently involved in a feud with Darby Allin, and because Darby Allin is associated with Sting by proxy is included in this feud, so you have Christian Cage to save the segment. AEW bookended the show with its best matches. Robinson and MJF put on a fun performance to start the show, and the main event featured the Dynamite debut Okada. Even though the action is usually the highlight of any pro wrestling show, the character work being done by Tony Storm has been some of the more entertaining stuff in AEW. All in all, this week's show won't really stand out in the history of Dynamite, probably won't be remembered by many, but overall, solid episode when you average everything out. And with that will conclude this episode of AEW Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.